Hey everyone, Palantir was one of the hottest stocks in the market in 2023, and that's no surprise considering it's one of the leading companies in artificial intelligence, and AI was the hottest investing trend in 2023. So it's not surprising that the leading company in AI, or one of the leading companies in AI, had an excellent year. But what's it going to do in 2024? That's the question I'm going to answer in this video. I'm going to make a Palantir stock price prediction for 2024. So you're not going to want to miss that. I'm going to use several assumptions and estimates. Of course, when we talk about the future, everything is an assumption because nobody knows what's going to happen in the future. But we do our best to use the numbers we have to make an educated guess. So let's get right into these analyses.
I want to thank the Motley Fool for sponsoring this video. Visit fool.com/Parkev for the 10 best stocks to buy now.
All right, so let's look at Palantir's latest quarterly results. And one of the big things that came out of 2023 for Palantir was that it became profitable on the bottom line, 4 straight quarters of GAAP profitability, and it expects another quarter of profitability in Q4. Revenue growth did better in 2023, notably in commercial revenue growth, which grew 33% in the most recent quarter. Now, it's been no secret that Palantir has done really well with governments, and the lagging part of its business has been with enterprises. So this latest growth in revenue from commercial businesses was really good news. Now, that was mostly in the US. Palantir needs to do better in growing its commercial business internationally, but it was good news that it did that in the US. And of course, cash flow from operations has been really solid. 133 million in cash flow from operations with a 24% cash flow from operations to sales margin. That's a really good number. That's something that investors look for when they're considering what multiple to pay. And we're going to look at that towards the end of the video. The multiple is important. So keep that in mind as we move forward. So the estimates we're going to use for Palantir for 2024 and 2025 is 19.8% revenue growth for 2024 and 20.5% revenue growth for 2025, 20.1% earnings per share growth for 2024, and 19.2% earnings per share growth for 2025. That would mean the company delivers 30 cents in earnings per share for 2024 and 35 cents in earnings per share for 2025. Now, these numbers are a consensus forecast from all of the analysts that are following Palantir. So this is an average from all of the analysts for what Palantir could do in 2024 and 2025. Of course, the company could do better and it could do worse. This is just the best guess from all of the financial analysts that are following Palantir. It's the best numbers we have available, right? Because it's the analysts that know Palantir the best and they are making these estimates. And so I find these to be the closest approximation of forecasts for Palantir in 2024 and 2025. All right, another thing we're going to remember is Palantir's stock price going into this video was $17.68 as of this recording. And we're also going to keep in mind Palantir's forward price to earnings ratio of 60.22. And also notice how that's on the higher end of where Palantir stock has traded for in the last year, according to this metric. Right, so this is on the higher end, 60.22. That's going to be important when we're making our estimate for Palantir's stock price. So now let's look at all of these figures put together to make that estimate for where Palantir's stock price could be in 2024. So remember, we got the 35 cents per share estimate from analysts in that slide I showed you earlier. And the price to earnings forward of 60 is the base case scenario we're going to look at because that's where Palantir stock is trading for as of this recording, 60.22. So I'm going to assume no change going forward. And that's where we're going to start with. No change going forward for the multiple, and the earnings per share of 35 cents expected for 2025. Because when we're looking at a forward PE ratio, we're looking at the year ahead estimate for earnings per share. And if we're trying to get a value for 2024, we're going to need the estimate for 2025, which is what I have here. And we're going to combine the two, multiply the two to get the stock price estimated for 2024 at $21 per share if the price to earnings stays the same and Palantir delivers 20% earnings per share growth in 2024 and 2025. So if that case is true, and this is the scenario that plays out, that would be a solid increase from $17.68 per share, right? That would be a, let's say, $3.40, $3.50 increase from where the stock price is now. So that would be a roughly 20% return on your investment in Palantir stock. I don't think any investor would be upset with returns anywhere near 20% for a stock like Palantir, which is, profitable on the bottom line, generating positive cash flow from operations, and it's not as risky as some of these other speculative investments. The more speculative the investment, the more the required return needs to be to justify an investment. So that's the, let's say, starting case, right? But what if Palantir's forward price to earnings was to expand? What if investors become more enthusiastic about Palantir stock and there's more evidence of the effectiveness of artificial intelligence and AI is even more popular in 2024 than it was in 2023? In that case, it's reasonable to assume Palantir's PE could be 75, and with that same 35-cent EPS estimate, Palantir stock price could jump to $26.25. This would be near a best case scenario for Palantir. The forward PE is already really high at 60. A forward PE of 60 is expensive, but a forward PE of 75 would really be pushing it. Look at where Palantir, that would be near the highest it's ever traded for, a forward PE of 75. But it could happen if AI really expands in popularity in 2024. But what if it turns out AI is not as effective as was hyped up to be, and investors become less optimistic about Palantir, and the PE forward goes from 60 down to 50? Then Palantir's stock price could be $17.50, which would be relatively flat from where it is today. So you could go all year without an increase in the stock price, which would be disappointing, but it won't be a disaster. And then finally, if in the worst case scenario, Palantir's performance lags, its earnings per share looks questionable, and the company faces some difficulties and the PE forward falls to 35, then its stock price could fall to $12.25, which would be a $5 decrease from where it is here, or about 1/3, let's say a 30% drop from where it is now. Well, Palantir stock investors have seen worse. So even in that worst case scenario, I don't think Palantir stock investors would be devastated. They would more likely be disappointed. Okay, so now that we've looked at these different scenarios, where is my estimate? What's my base case? Where do I think it's going to be? Well, if you were to ask me today where Palantir stock price could be 1 year from now, I would say it would be in this range here, in the $21, maybe closer to $20 per share, somewhere in that range between, let's say, $19.50 to $21 per share, somewhere in that range, I think, where Palantir's stock price will be 1 year from now, if everything stays the way it's expected to stay. Now, if there's changes, of course, I will change that recommendation. But according to what I see now, what I've looked at and what we've considered in this video, and everything I know after following Palantir stock for the last 4 years or so, 3 years or so, that's my estimate for 2024. Before I let you go, let me tell you about the greatest deal on YouTube. With just a click of a button, you can get free financial analysis from a professor with decades of investing experience. So what are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you again soon.